facial features, your eyebrows, facial features. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's just the way, I'm like, I'm not trying to see the frown. I'm like, okay, so got to work on facial features there, the way we look at students. And some students, you can look at them in a serious way, and I think this is more middle school, probably elementary. You can look at them in a serious way, and they can tear up. They can really tear up and be upset. Right, Miss Murray? Do you look at doing give them a hard time?
Sorry, yes, most definitely.
And it goes with this moods carried over from family issues or reactions take place as well. The positive, no matter what happens, students need for us to respond professionally, then react personally. Right? We need to respond professionally, then to react personally. And this is very difficult because, students might come to our classroom, might not like the subject, and we can take it personal. It's not us. It might be the subject, or it might be a previous teacher in middle school, or a previous teacher in elementary school that maybe left a sour taste in the mouth, unfortunately. So they can have those misconceptions for sure. Number 3, failing to focus on quality research-based instruction. Failing to focus on quality research-based instruction. And you think of rote knowledge, right? Think of rote knowledge, and many teachers, they can rely upon this rote knowledge. We got memorization, you've got to memorize this chart, you've got to memorize these, whatever it might be, and we can get so caught up in going back or falling back on that rote knowledge, and we kind of miss the scale on Bloom's taxonomy. And I know there's a debate on Bloom's taxonomy there with that, but you think of whether it be associative learning or active learning, or you can put alternative learning in that blank there, where students apply and analyze, which in turn moves them to create. We want students to internalize, and then eventually we want them to create on their own without us having to tell them this is this and this and so forth, or follow that formula. We want them to create on their own. I like this. It says, if we can hone in on and focus on quality teaching, that will result in quality learning. So we have great quality teaching, which takes place here in our school. I think of all this, some of the other schools in our area, Christian schools or private schools in our area, and I really feel that we have quality teaching here for sure. Number 4, being consistently better, not being satisfied with being good, being great. Anybody remember the Tony the Tiger commercial?
Yeah. Great.
They're great! And to think about that, we don't want to just be here, we want to be great in everything we do as far as teachers, as far as administration. That's important. We don't want to, and I'll touch on this in a second, teachers can't be happy one day and miserable the next day. Can't be happy one day and the next day, we can't, I don't want to say bipolar to our students. We can't be caring one day and distant the next. Can't be friendly one day and moody tomorrow, or moody the next day. And it's difficult, right? And we'll touch on it in a second, but if you have issues maybe at home, right, with family, whatever it might be, sometimes, unfortunately, that carries over. We're just human, and it just happens. And this goes back to, is the positive, this goes back to being positive, encouraging, and being affirming to our students. What types of affirmation do you give to your students? What are some of the words that you use, or some of the things that you say to your students in affirming them? Anybody?
You can do it.
You can do it. Good.
With.
Especially when they're down or just feel defeated, you say you can do it. Just like Nike. Amen. Anybody else? What are some of the affirming words that you say when you notice they're struggling, or I just doesn't look like it's gonna click?
Yeah, I follow along with you can do this. Keep working at it. Keep trying. You got this.
Okay.
Yeah, find something they did right in this problem and say, there you go, you got it.
Right.
All right, now you're smarter than you think. Now
That's
what's
good.
the next step?
That's good. Find that one thing that they're doing right?
Don't give up.
You can be negative. You're gonna give that positive affirmation.
I tell them not to give up, don't stop, you know, you can do this, keep working at it.
Because I think it can be a snowball effect, right? If they feel like there's a roadblock and they can't get it and they just give up and there's not an affirmation, it's like snowballs and there's a mental block. I can't get past this. I can't do this, and it's unfortunate when students encounter that. Anybody else?
There was a saying that my college professor told us and reminded us of. It's a quote hanging in my room, but I can't remember exactly the words. But it's somewhere in the lines of, by God's grace, you can do it and you can get through it. And he encouraged us that way to
Right.
keep going. And at the beginning, I kind of tried to do that with my students
Right.
to let them know.
By God's grace, you can do it and get through it. I kind of rhymes there like that.
Yeah.
That's your homework assignment, is to get that quote for me. That's good, that's good. Okay, so we need to be forming to our students, there's no doubt. Number 5, showing or proclaiming. Showing or proclaiming. And the negative thing is this: when a teacher frequently says to students, I am so tired. This gives a wrong impression. I'm guilty of the impression. I think we're all in that boat, right? Like, oh, I'm just in time. I can't wait till Friday. It's Friday. Hey guys, everything's changed, right?
I would say throughout the year, you shouldn't say that, but the last week of school, it's
It's
okay.
It's okay to say that. You're on fumes. It's okay.
Yeah, you're on.
Okay.
But we're gonna say, we can do it.
We can do it.
We
That's
can,
right.
don't give up.
do
We
it.
don't
Keep
give up.
going.
And then it's
Affirming
gonna
each other. Affirming each other. Thank you.
That's right.
Good
and
job.
then we're gonna say, it's gonna be great when
right.
this is over.
That's good. That's good. Well, this gives a wrong impression to students when we say we're tired. Students may think that the teacher is letting their personal life, or let their personal life is interfering with their professional life. And they think their personal life is interfering with professional life, and that can happen. I think one thing that's great about a Christian school is not just having Christian colleagues and teachers, right? But having students that pray for their teachers, right? Having students that pray for the teachers or understand what you're going through. And when you say, hey, this is going on at home, or this is happening here, and for students say, hey, can I pray for, and you ask students to pray for the class, and then they pray for you. That's encouraging when you have a student pray for you in class. So it's
They even
It's
leave
different
you
here.
notes. I'm praying for you, because now these last weeks, they left me notes, like
Notes with that.
8th graders and everything, my homeroom. And, you know, and the ones that.
well, that's a lot to say for the 8th graders. Praise the Lord for that.
Yes, yes, I'm
Oof.
telling you.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, we'll see them next year, right?
That's
Graders,
right.
all of them.
That's right.
Amen.
Amen.
Teaching is emotionally, physically, and spiritually, of course, it's spiritually exhausting. And I like this kind of quote here, this phrase: the pro never shows it, the amateur always does. But we know that teaching can be draining, right? Physically draining, spiritually, emotionally draining. I mean, think of it. If you're putting everything into your lessons and instructing your students, by the end of the day, you're just spent. I know we don't want to say you're tired to students, but you're kind of spent, right? And then you get to Friday, and then you're just looking forward to the weekend, but because you put so much into the students for sure. Number 6, to create a climate and culture, to create a climate and culture that promotes learning, students must see you helping them because you want to, not because you have to. They want to see that you want to, not because you have to, right? If the students think that this is a job, a J-O-B, and you don't look at it as a ministry, right? Students can detect that, right? I mean, you would say probably in all of your classes, you have students that are very, I won't say all of them, but most of them are very perceptive. You know, that, oh, you're here, this is a grind. But they pick up on things that especially that you really want to help them, or, hey, come to my help class, whatever it might be, because they're always wanting to know that you really care. And it said that in the negative statement there. Students don't want to be thought of as part of your job. If there's any hint that you would rather be doing something else, this will work against you in student achievement. If there's any hint that you'd rather be doing something else. Think about it this way. When you go to Chick-fil-A, and you're there at Chick-fil-A, and you say, thank you, what is their response? What's the company line? What's
My
the-
pleasure.
It's my pleasure. And you could say it like 20 times. Thank you very much, it's my pleasure. And you keep saying it another time. Hey, well, I appreciate it, thank you, it's my pleasure. And it's a slogan, and generally the people that work at Chick-fil-A, they're very positive, they're upbeat, they seem pretty happy. And I think that's one of the reasons why Chick-fil-A is probably at the top with growth. Why? Because of customer care. So think about that in our classrooms. And we don't have to say to students all the time, it's my pleasure, but, right? But at the same time, let them know that you care. Have you ever had a student that comes to your classroom and looks like they're just down or dejected? It's like because normally they come in, they're happy, or maybe not bouncing off the walls, but they seem to be pretty happy or pretty jovial. So what do you usually do? Is there anything that you usually do with those students sometimes?
If they're sad,
Yes.
yes, I ask them, how you doing, what's happening, how can I help you?
Right.
A pat on the back.
Right.
Hey.
And what sometimes is the response? Will they tell you? Will students tell you at
Yes.
times?
Oh, yeah, most of the time,
Yeah.
they say. They're open about it.
And I think that's good. So if you extend and show them that you're there or you care for them, I think they're open to tell you or share what's going on. I think that's important. Okay, the positive statement there is we need to have a positive attitude with students that we enjoy ministering to them. And we love and enjoy ministering to them, for sure. And I think of this, and as we look at number 7, I think this is one that we can really focus on, or this is one that we can really key on. It says, pretending something didn't happen when it did. Right? You've heard of the phrase, there's an elephant in the room, right? There's an elephant in the room, you don't walk around it, or maybe you're not quiet about it, or maybe you address it. You want to address it. And sometimes that can be very difficult to address the elephant in the room, but it's important to be open about it. The negative statement would be, sweeping things under the carpet is serious. It reflects back to the lack of confidence that you have in the students and yourself. We shouldn't just sweep things under the carpet. We should go past that. Here, positive statement would be this: address the problem and move on. It will be like a weight that is lifted. That is lifted off of your shoulders. It'll be like a weight that's kind of lifted off your shoulders. Okay, so here's your homework assignment. Are you with me? Here's your homework assignment. 2 deficiencies that you see in your classroom. There's 2 deficiencies that you see in your classroom, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be in your classroom, it can be in our school. 2 deficiencies that you see in our school or your classroom that negatively impact student achievement. Two deficiencies that you see in your classroom or our school that negatively impact student achievement. So the second part of this, I guess, would be, what's your resolution or what's your solution? What you would do to improve these deficiencies? What's your resolution or what's your solution to improve or remove these deficiencies? Really quick, I just want one before we get going. I just want one, if you guys could tell me what you see as maybe a deficiency potentially in our school. In general.
I've heard one from students,
Mhm.
and the number one thing that they have a feeling of between some students and others, that there's some sort of favoritism.
Okay.
Some students feel like they're not as appreciated as, say, some of these other students. or maybe these students get away with more things than these students. And they have complained to me about that a lot.